Hello, my friends, and thank you for being with me yet another month. Welcome to all newbies, and invite you to become a subscriber because then you get notified when I'm live, and it gives you opportunity to kind of interact and bring your energy on board. Now, just a few quickie introductions. I still have my annual TAROSCOPES on sale. You get one for only $10 and all of them for $20. And I will continue during the April to have my speed up promotion. I am working very hard to kind of catch up with this, but for you it works that instead of like 3-4 weeks, now you're upgrading automatically to a week. So regular reading is becoming rush, and rush reading, which was 7 days, is becoming urgent. So from 7 to 3, and the urgent reading is not more 3 days, it is like 24 hours. So it's kind of awesome. I am doing my best, if you do the order for urgent before 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to actually do it the same day. But then again, sometimes I have to go and see my dad and I'm not at home. So but at that stage I'm going to send you an email saying the timeline for the urgent ones. Now guys, this is all there is. We still have Mercury Retrograde until the 15th, and then another 3 weeks for the shadow. So yay. How is your car going? How is your phone? Is it slow? Is your computer slow? What broke down? And I really hope it is not affecting you as much as it's affecting me. In any case, I'll be doing just regular tarot monthly, and then of course it's going to be revolving then to Lenormand and X spread shortly thereafter. Thank you guys very much, and please like, subscribe, and share this video, and you know that I love you. Hi Scorpio, and welcome to your April tarot reading. I really had to stop and meditate a little bit on this basically spread, because it's giving me really tons of messages, and it looks like your intensity is reaching a completely new level. So where do I start? I will be telling you the cards as we come along, because not everybody knows my Mystic Cats deck, but so let's go. First of all, you have a fire kitten, and maybe I should be zooming in a few cards such as this one, because I really want to tell you somebody's getting so enthusiastic about what the heck is this flickering thing here, right? And check what's happening with the tail. It's catching on the fire. So is this the case of, you know, too curious for your own good? In any case, there is like sort of like some kind of exploration, and I would say what you are doing, and that's why kind of like, of course it's a Mercury retrograde edition, and I see it stamped everywhere over here, but there are some kind of thoughts about the past. I don't know like why there are 2 3s underneath. Was there somebody else or something collapsing? Sort of like 3 could denote instability, but it also tells me you're moving forward from that. There is like this fire kitten, there is like this, okay, you know what, even if I burn myself, sort of is okay. There was some kind of new beginning in the past, something that highly excited you, something that made you feel wanted and powerful and young. I'm not saying that you're not young, but like, you know, whatever you are, wherever your age is, like go down, go much lower. You know that feeling when you're a teenager, when the possibilities, the only possibilities, you're only looking up, you're only looking forward. But something that started in a promising way started to complicate itself in the process. It could be some kind of like thinking. This is a good card, but like you see, it almost like looks an adventure. Let's imagine you're dating somebody and you kind of like really want to have a dinner date in stilettos. He wants to have, you know, sky jumping, and you're like, freak, I'm in stilettos, right? So it's kind of like nothing is wrong with either of the solutions. It's just like sort of like they don't gel, and in the end it kind of like feels kind of like even foolish, sort of like a mismatch kind of a feeling. In addition, you do have strength here reversed. The strength card is generally talking about figuring ourselves out. It is kind of like generally asking us to kind of like go inside and kind of like figure out our own happiness, our own temptations. But when it comes reversed, it is quite the opposite. It talks about imbalance and possibly weakness and discord. It could be misuse of the power, it could be pushing it too hard, pushing it too soft, sort of like everything can kind of like happen. So maybe you experienced some kind of intolerance. Maybe you're kind of getting there and saying, you know, certain kind of like things. I don't know if I really want to get involved in this situation. And this is definitely connecting over here in this situation. Somebody might be having an overbearing or domineering attitude, and that can kind of like upset the process, kind of like and create disharmony. When strength appears reversed, sometimes it tells me that somebody doesn't want to commit, or somebody's like that too pushy going in that direction, right? It also tells me if you truly believe that you're in the right, kind of like be firm, literally strong, and proceed with your plans regardless of opposition from others. Do not succumb to temptations, because that's what Fool does. Fool reverse does. Fool goes, oh, look at that flower, that's so freaking funny. Oh, look at this one, look at this one, look at this one. Like, it's kind of like nothing wrong with this if you don't really need structure in your life. But this is definitely asking you for a little higher lesson, because you're here at 0. You're already at 8. So it is asking you to kind of like raise above whoever you are and kind of like go to the next level, right? Because also this can be a lust card, somebody who is kind of inclined toward vanity, and maybe that infatuation, lust that cannot be controlled, right? And it is certainly lack of inner strength, because this is the key point of this card, talking about, you know, resisting these temptations, and kind of like seeing this like end game, end goal, where you really want to go, and kind of like heading there and not allowing all these distractions to come your way. So there is like, I mean, that need, and maybe you have already noticed that need to develop a self-discipline. There is a level of deception, self-deception, because you also have within your core something breaking down. And I could see that here from here as well. Some of you were going inward. Some of you are wondering how things are working, or who are the people. Because here you have Fire Kitten, you have 3 of Sky, you have 3 of Fire, and you have the High Priestess. Mind you, like, I mean, this one is of course the overall energy. Like, I mean, somehow it looks like you have resolved certain issues where you can spend maybe not only minutes, not only hours, and not only days, maybe even years to kind of like figure it out. Because what basically High Priestess, or the Priestess in this deck, and the Fool, or the Cat, have in common, it's kind of learning experience. It's kind of like going forward and exploring. You see, the Fool is like sort of like trying to see this new environment. Just imagine like you just arrive to a new place for a vacation. You are checking where's the reception, etc. This is kind of like Fool's job. The Priestess is telling basically people, well, you know, these are the concerts and these are the events that we have, because they're offering the experience that is kind of like really the point. But she's not going to tell you anything about them. It's literally, there is the title, and it's up to you to learn it, because you have to experience this your way. So now, when the Tower shows up, especially when the Tower card shows up reversed, it is telling me about some kind of train of thought that is faulty. Just like the Fool here maybe doesn't have enough focus to stay with a project or stay with a person. And maybe this wasn't you, maybe somebody was in your life who kind of like get this like lackadaisical, flimsy maybe attitude, and you didn't know where you stand. And hence you felt there was no commitment here, and yet maybe they were showing signs, hey, you know, I'm passionate, let's do this, let's do that. So almost like, you know, double messages, sort of like, or contradictory kind of like messaging in all together. So maybe you're asking yourself if you're on the wrong path, because the Tower upright is always saying, you really missed, like, you know, one flower over there. Like, I mean, you kind of like really are not where you should be, and this is going to collapse. This whole thing going forward is really not good for you. But when it's this way, sometimes we do not understand that certain things are bad for us, and we keep going and keep going. And that's, for example, and it's probably bad examples, where parents want their children to get educated and to get good jobs, and of course it's an extremely positive and good attitude. But this is not always a solution, right? Because sometimes you really have to explore your own path, or maybe this isn't your path. And now I'm not saying get out of school, kids stay in school, but you know, it looks like here that maybe the guidance that has been given up to this point, it's kind of like taking a form where you are kind of like following that blindly without really putting too much thought in this. So this is definitely telling me like that faulty Towers kind of a feeling that they have. So what is in the center over here? Yet we have another 8, and we have 8 of Sky. And then we have a Grace card. So look at this kitty over here. I want to zoom it in for you. What's happening here? Is this kitty really stuck? But kitty definitely looks like in panic, and absolutely like there is like, you can tell the fear and impossibility of what the heck do I do. And probably you see the mouth open screaming, let me out, how do I get out? There is like huge sense of probably inability to, you know, resolve the situation. Plus look at these scary birds. So there is threat or perceive of the threat. So what is what we need to do in this situation? When this card is upright, we are frozen. We are frozen with fear. You know, that's when we get cold sweats. That's when we just cannot come up with a word to say. A whole bunch of things. When this comes this way, because it looks like just the weight of the kitty would actually open up these branches. But this is also saying, just relax. You need to think through it. After all, this is a sword suit. It is about words. It's about spirit. It's about what is the best for you. It is about thinking. And we kind of have to kind of remove the blindfold. And this is kind of like coming kind of loudly over here. And I think this is kind of like really the message of this reading. You have been somewhere, and the path that you're seeing, the trajectory of this path, it's not a path you really want to be on. You kind of want to change things in your life. And you're understanding that patience is really, really needed. There is going to be maybe a situation where you're going from something that is nothing, and maybe feeling, well, you know, I tried this way and it kind of like didn't go there. Like, you know, when people do these lists for dating, well, you know, she has to be, I don't know, 6 feet tall and 103 pounds and has, I don't know, huge boobs, and she speaks like 17 languages. She is triple PhD, and she's like 5 years old, right? So sometimes we set ourselves up because we're sending this impossibility messages, and this is kind of like what Fool does, right? Reverse. It's like definitely kind of like something foolish. So this is saying like kind of coming to this kind of adjustment, like adjustment where you're kind of like finding a fine art into how to balance all these messagings from other people, and kind of like finally that collapse is happening this month. But this is almost just the tip of the iceberg. It's like that volcano. And plus the tarot card, guys, belongs to you. And I think from all the signs, it's just like you and Aries can handle it. This is like, you know, Scorpio is asking for the internal change, huge internal change. So shift in attitude. Almost like, think about this. Look at this. Actually, this is really good explanation. The clouds just open up and you're seeing the sun. You might need to take it a little bit longer about this in particular, because the Tower reversed. Like, you need to kind of like figure out and get into this kind of position to understand, you know, yes, this is something that I want, because for some reason you keep doing the same old, same old. So let's see how this actually really works out. Then what I really love in this reading is this, because you guys are literally, you know, what was that song? I was blind, but now I can see. Because guys, not only that can you see and you're playing with the light, you're trying to kind of govern the light, but there are these new goals. They're like new achievements. And this is not a star. These are like, this card is called stars. And when this card appears, this is all about turmoil. This is all about who is working in a life, who has to get off, who I want to keep, what I have to keep, and if I do keep, how do I handle this? Because sometimes we don't get to choose people in our lives. So we don't get to choose our family, we don't get to choose our coworkers. And if we already are in a serious relationship with a partner and they're freaks, we don't get to choose that either. But what we can do, we can every single time negotiate our position. Always. And this is like what it says. This is exactly what you will be doing. As I said, this is a card that talks about peace and contentment after a period of turmoil. So it represents kind of like a return to physical and spiritual health. This is talking about new beginnings and new life experiences, something that you are really, really looking forward to. Not many cards are really looking up in tarot. And this one not only looks up, but it looks like looking up in a much greater version of the little kitty cat, right? This is also indicating protection. Of course, I guess you can tell this is my favorite card in the entire deck, because this says that nothing can kill enthusiasm and hope. This is something you will have even if you're homeless under the bridge in the middle of the winter, right? And this is the card saying you're on the right path. It basically implies your foundations are firm and you will succeed. It's also talking about needing probably to get some kind of relief and calm, right? Because it's going to be up and down this month. It's going to be a lots of adjustment, right? But you guys are going with one intention. And that intention is, I want this love in my heart to be applied properly. So you want this fulfillment. You're saying, you know what, maybe I negotiated all my life, and where I am maybe is better than where I was, but this is where I need to go. It's almost like packing up your spiritual kind of like luggage and saying, this is where I'm heading. And you know, this is like the first step of a 1,000 mile kind of like journey. So your thoughts are becoming clearer. You're getting a new sense of stability, right? So you may have had recent difficulties when this card kind of appears, and this is definitely a time for this new phase, new kind of like start to happen. And new start for you guys is going to start with spring cleaning. And if you're Southern Hemisphere, spring cleaning. So how? You're kind of realizing this is a total aha moment when this is reversed. Whether somebody is going to come to you with an apology, whether it's going to be, you know, sitting down in discussion without that edge, you know, when somebody hurts us, it's like almost like a fresh cut that you still need to kind of like mend. But the other person sort of has a fresh cut. And it's kind of hard to have a productive thing because everybody has their own agenda. But when Seven of Sky reverses, because look at here, you can see the kitty. One kitty is mesmerized with all these blackbirds. Look at how cute they are. Oh my gosh, the bird, the bird, the bird. But the other kitty has a different plan. Oh, look at that. While you're looking there, I'm taking this. Of course, this is the card of thievery. This is a card of somebody grabbing something that maybe was yours, or you felt it was rightfully rightfully yours, and somebody just like felt, you know what, I want to hurt you, and maybe you had to go along with this, maybe just accepted this. When this reverses, and this is like something that is going to be a really biggie for you guys in April, this is literally a aha moment. You know, sometimes people go for 10 years in therapy. I don't know if anybody watched Pretty Woman. That was old reference. Richard Gere said in one basically scene that he has been going through therapy for a long time to be able to say, I don't know what was his thing, I don't like my father or something like that. So you can understand certain things on intellectual level, which is like this. It's understanding you have been harmed. It's understanding things are wrong. It's understanding, like, I mean, not much can be changed. This is simply kind of like a step back, because it's telling me in these three cards, you guys have been blind, but now you can see. Something is so going to light you up. I think this was reversed, because you're a little bit impatient about this. Things will be happening on so many different levels for you. It almost like to the point, and this is you guys, but it cannot be you really from the environment. So the environment will be reflecting you to you differently. I always suggest like kind of like making that exercise. Try to be something different. Try to have a different hairdo. Try to have different makeup. And see how people respond to you, because like we are trained to kind of like judge people by, you know, the image that is perceived. So this generally should be you, Sea Queen, but from everything here, this is like a person who is like super strong, super hopeful, but not gentle like Sea Queen. And maybe you feel here that you got a little hardened, and guess what, you will be seeing yourself in the other people, and you will be seeing gentleness in you. And that Scorpio, the gentle Scorpio, that cuddly Scorpio, that fresh new thing, you know, like, I mean, no burden Scorpio is actually going to be reflected back to you, and you will be attracting people like that who will be kind of giving you a big hug, etc. There is like this sense that this whole process can be exhausting. You might be financially still dealing with some kind of issues like the Five of Earth. It's kind of understanding that you cannot get stuck in a spot even if there is a stumbling block, and you just like have to keep going. And also the understanding that for C, if things get too hard, take a rest, because guys, this is a hard work. I'm telling you, I didn't even realize how long I'm talking about this. I really want to see the Tower reverse. It's the only thing that I don't like in your reading, because everything else is telling me about the power of endurance. Everything else is telling me about the power of a person. And God knows, you guys had last year horrifying spreads, and I'm not one of those readers who's going to tell you something that is not. And now I'm telling you, I'm seeing huge results, because it almost looks like you have been conquered by these universal forces and put somebody's thumb, and you said like, you know what, I'm Scorpio, I'm going to crawl out. And there is a visitor that will be coming here in a second. Right, Seth? Seth, do you love Scorpio? How much? How much? You're not going to talk to me? Yes. Is Scorpio the best? Is Aquarius the best? Oh, look at that diplomatic putty cat. Okay, so let's see the Tower. The Tower. Why is the Tower here for April for Scorpio? And keep in mind, we are also in Mercury Retrograde, which can mean the old issues are popping up, and it could be a whole bunch of references to the past behaviors. So Tower for Scorpio. There you go. Scholar and hope. And guess what is hope? Hope is star over here. It has been reversed. And this is what it is. What is, guys, that you think it's not available for you? What is where that hope disappeared? Which segment of your life is not greased up? I think you're going to be looking into that, possibly study. This is really looking deeper. Scholar is always indicating in the Gypsy Oracle somebody who kind of like doesn't just make gut decision like fool. Kind of like, let me check it out. What did other people say about it, right? And I think this is what needs to be turned out. Kind of understanding, and that could be that light that comes through for you. Definitely something that you feel that you have been cornered and you no longer wish to kind of take it. That's no longer the plan. And actually this one I want to see, Seven of Sky. Let me see, what is that aha moment generally linked to Scorpio? Aha moment. Service, young woman. Again, this can be you, whether you're a man or a woman. Something is not working out anymore. There is like a definite closure. This could be coming up on the top, guys, for some of you. For the others, leaving past in the past. For the rest of them, closing doors to something that sort of like emotionally and intellectually you just don't wake up with that. You don't go to bed anymore with that. It is just like relegated to the basement for ever, or key thrown away. But even better yet than that, I think it's simply just over. That karmic lesson has been finished. So my dear Scorpio, this is a general reading. If you want your own, it's different. It just goes with only your vibration. So contact me via cattarot.ca. In the meantime, I would love to hear your comments, because your comment can be gold for somebody, and it could be that light that has to be given to somebody. And I really encourage people not kind of like being just to themselves, but sort of like we have to change certain things in society and become kind to each other. And yes, like, share, subscribe, and you know that I love you. And until the next time, all the best.